What if everything you believe about your life is carefully constructed, not by some secret group hiding in the shadows, but by ideas so deeply planted? You never thought to question them. What if your desires, your fears, even your definition of happiness were never truly yours? Tonight, we are not exposing a conspiracy of power. We are exposing something far more dangerous, a conspiracy of perception, a silent system that doesn't control you by force, but by making you believe you are already free. And the most unsettling part, you might be part of it without even realizing it. There is a quiet understanding that no one speaks of, not because it is hidden, but because it is too obvious. From the moment you are born, the world begins its work on you. It gives you a name, a purpose, a direction. It tells you what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, and what failure must mean. You accept it, not because you chose to, but because you never knew there was a choice. And so the pattern begins. You wake up, you strive, you chase, you measure your worth in numbers, in approval, and achievements that never seem to satisfy for long. And when the silence comes, when the noise fades and you are left alone with your thoughts, you feel it. That strange emptiness, that quiet discomfort, but you push it away. Because you were taught to. This is not a conspiracy of people sitting in dark rooms controlling your life. It is something far more subtle and far more powerful. It is a conspiracy of ideas, a system of beliefs so deeply rooted that questioning them feels unnatural. You are told that life must have meaning, that suffering has a purpose, that everything happens for a reason. These ideas comfort you, they give shape to chaos, they turn uncertainty into something manageable. But what if they are not truths? What if they are simply stories we tell ourselves to survive? The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once suggested that life is driven by a blind, endless will, a force that pushes us to desire, to chase, to want, without ever truly being satisfied. And in that endless cycle we remain trapped, not by chains, but by hope. Hope keeps you moving. It tells you that the next success, the next relationship, the next achievement will finally complete you. But it never does. It cannot. Because the system is not designed for completion, it is designed for continuation. You are not meant to arrive, you are meant to keep going. And so the cycle repeats. You work for a future that never feels enough. You seek happiness that fades the moment you grasp it. You distract yourself with noise, screens, conversations, ambitions, anything to avoid the deeper question. Why does it never feel complete? Some thinkers, like Friedrich Nietzsche, saw this and chose to confront it. He spoke of creating your own meaning in a world that offers none. But even that requires strength. Strength most people are never taught to develop, because a person who questions everything becomes difficult to control. So instead, you are given comfort. Comfort in routines, comfort in beliefs, comfort in the illusion that everything is as it should be. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to participate in the very system that confines you. You repeat the same ideas, you reinforce the same patterns, you pass them on to others, to the next generation. Not because you are forced to, but because it feels normal. That is the real conspiracy. Not one imposed from above, but one that lives within. A shared agreement to not look too closely, to not question too deeply, to not sit too long in silence, because in that silence, something unsettling begins to emerge, the possibility that much of what you believe was never truly yours. But here's the turning point. Realizing this is not the end, it is the beginning. Because once you see the pattern, you are no longer completely inside it. You begin to notice your thoughts, your desires, your fears, not as absolute truths, but as conditioned responses. And in that awareness, something changes. You may not escape the system entirely. No one does. But you gain distance from it. And sometimes that distance is enough to question, enough to choose differently, enough to live, not as someone following a script, but as someone who finally sees it. And perhaps in that quiet awareness, the conspiracy loses its power. Not because it disappears, but because you are no longer blind to it. Now you've seen the pattern, not a conspiracy of people, but a conspiracy of beliefs, habits, and illusions we carry within ourselves. The question is no longer, is it real? The question is, what will you do now that you see it? Will you go back to comfort, or will you begin to question everything you once accepted as truth? Because awareness is a dangerous thing. Once you see, you cannot unsee. And from that moment on, you are no longer just living, you are choosing, call to action. If this made you think, even for a moment, then you're already breaking the pattern. Subscribe to Cold Truth Philosophy, where we don't comfort you with lies. We challenge you with truth.